Hey everybody, it's your friend and your guy and your favorite Kentuckian, Gardiner, the Linux gamer. I have moved into my house and I am so freaking excited about it, you guys. It's kinda unreal. I didn't know if this day would ever come. I'm very, very stoked about this. Holy crap. So I'm here. I can hear an echo. Let me do one thing about that. I'm gonna put this, I got this board of styrofoam. Will that mitigate the echo? I think it does, actually. Now that I'm sitting here and listening to it, I think that worked. This video would not be possible if it weren't for my amazing Patreon supporters, including the support of NQBW, who's one of my top tier Singularity members. My dude, thank you for your support. It is truly humbling. If you like this video, you can hit that like button. It really helps the show out. You can also subscribe and ring that notification bell if you want to see more from me on the channel here. If you're really keen on seeing all of my videos, you might want to go over to LBRY, beta.lbry.tv/@theLinuxGamer, where it's a free and open source, totally distributed alternative to YouTube, and it's pretty rad. So today I wanted to talk about Microsoft's involvement in Linux, in the open source world in general, actually, because there's been a lot of information about this going around, a lot of FUD, and, you know, to be honest, I've been pretty flummoxed by Microsoft's involvement in the free and open source world. Things like acquiring GitHub or sponsoring like major Linux conventions or even becoming a member of the Linux Foundation. I mean, their involvement has really raised a few eyebrows, I would say. They've even started releasing some of their code as open source, and I think that that's really cool. Granted, the vast majority of their code is still proprietary, and so I don't know what to say about that. But the fact remains, there are people who are justifiably skeptical about Microsoft's involvement in the Linux world. After all, Microsoft's track record when it comes to privacy or end user freedom has not been the greatest. I mean, in the 90s, Microsoft had several antitrust lawsuits brought against them by the United States government. The European Union has also brought many antitrust cases against Microsoft. Microsoft is a key player in the perpetuation of vendor lock-in. You know, they have draconian licensing agreements. And let's not forget that Windows 10 is a monstrosity when it comes to everything I'm talking about. I mean, from the anti-competitive nature of Windows 10 to the user manipulation with ads, telemetry that's installed by default, forcing user updates. I mean, there's a lot of things that are wrong with Windows 10. And on a personal note, the thing that hurts me the most still, the thing I'm most bitter about to this day, is the fact that we were never able to actually crack the Zune. Yes, I owned a Zune. I owned the original Zune, and we were all dumb teenagers at one point, so don't judge me too harshly on that one. The fact of the matter is, Microsoft's engagement with our community, with the open source world, with the Linux world, it feels hollow and it feels uncanny, at least to me. And that's why I feel like it's raised a lot of eyebrows when Microsoft has done the overtures that they have towards the free and open source world. There's something that just feels off about it. Then again, I think back to the days when Microsoft was truly the dominant force in at least the consumer desktop space, right? And I think about like the kind of things that they were doing back then. And I look at how they are releasing at least a portion of their software as open source, that you can debate on the merits of the software license that they have chosen. And while the majority of their code is still proprietary and that's where they make the most of their money, the fact is Microsoft, I think, realizes that the future is open, no matter how much they don't want it to be. So news broke while I was moving that Microsoft wants to bring Windows Defender to Linux, and they're rebranding it Microsoft Defender. If you don't know what Windows or Microsoft Defender is, it's their anti-malware suite. It's used to protect consumer operating systems, Windows here, from malware. And you might be asking yourself, well, what the heck? Why would any Linux user need Microsoft anti-malware? I mean, there isn't that much of a threat of malware on Linux. I mean, it's a threat that kind of exists in certain circles and certain things, but like, what's the point of bringing Windows Defender or Microsoft Defender to Linux? And the answer to that question is kind of interesting. Now, Microsoft says that they want to bring Windows Defender, or I keep saying Windows Defender, Microsoft Defender to the Linux platform for a couple reasons. And some of them make sense to me. Now, while in the enterprise space, there isn't a whole lot of Linux desktop deployment, there definitely can be some value in having an antivirus on your network, right? So being able to like scan emails and other things like documents that are being traded back and forth for Microsoft or Windows malware at the network level, you know, on your servers, I think that makes a lot of sense. And, you know, ClamAV does that right now. And so Microsoft doing this and releasing their Microsoft Defender for the Linux platform, I think that that kind of makes a little bit of sense. It makes a certain amount of sense, a little bit of logic there. The other thing is that Microsoft Defender is going to phone home and report telemetry to Microsoft. So any malware that has matched the database, any usage and detection of malware, that's going to be reported back to Microsoft. And they were talking about how many like sensors they have. If you read the article, there's going to be a link below. How many sensors Microsoft has in deployment around the world, and it's because of the telemetry that's going to be included with Microsoft Defender on Linux. And we can debate the pros and cons of that. And, you know, I see that as kind of a con for me. Telemetry I just don't like by its nature. But they hope that this telemetry data will be able to assist them in identifying new threats, right? So there are pros and cons there. I see that mostly as a con, in my opinion, but I can understand where they would want to do that, right? The thing is, though, Microsoft Defender is just the latest in a long line of software that Microsoft is porting to Linux. I can think of a couple off the top of my head. For example, we have Skype, we have VS Code, we have, from what I understand, Microsoft Teams is coming to Linux. There's a lot of things, including Microsoft's new Chromium-based web browser, Edge. Now, Edge was their own bespoke rendering engine for HTML, and then they decided, you know what, we're just going to give up and go to Chromium, because that's what a lot of web browsers do these days. Thank God for Mozilla. But I think the thing that keeps sticking in my craw about this, the reason that I can't wholesale completely hate on Microsoft is because, well, there was this interview that happened a little while ago, back in 1998. So this is an interview with Linus Torvalds given to CNN. What if Bill Gates called and said he wanted to develop for Linux? And then Linus Torvalds responds, "If Microsoft ever does applications for Linux, it means I've won." So what does all this mean? I mean, we have Steam, we have big AAA games like Shadow of the Tomb Raider that just came out. We have VR support on the way, hardware support, driver support. It's at least at parity, if not in some cases exceeding what you can achieve on Windows. We have a growing install base for the desktop space. We have interest from developers and end users and enthusiasts alike. All of them are making the switch to Linux. And now we have Microsoft, which is one of the biggest names in end user software, developing software for Linux. And if you take that quote into account, you know what I think that means? I think that means that we've won. Now, whatever their motivations are, whether we interpret them as being beneficial or nefarious or something else altogether, the fact is Microsoft are a huge player in software development. And the fact is we need them. Their support is not only helpful for the growth of our platform, but it's necessary. So I guess the thesis of this video is pretty simple. The fact that Microsoft is developing software for Linux, it means that we've won. It really does. And on the whole, I think that it's beneficial for us. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we should trust them or that we should just roll over and let them walk in and do whatever they want with Linux. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is no matter what their motivation is for being here, we need to stay vigilant and stay true to the values and what is right and moral and good about Linux, and be very vocal and critical about it, because I think that's what our community needs. So yeah, we've won, but we're not done yet. Well, I hope you liked that video. I am pretty excited to be back and to be doing videos again for you guys. I can't wait to hear what you guys think of my latest video essay. What do you think of my setup here? I kind of like it. I think that I might move some stuff around. I might move the camera, test different placement here. But I really like the setup. I think that this is gonna be good. I think that I made the right decision to move, and I couldn't have done this without you guys. My patrons support this show directly. By contributing even like $1 a month, you're helping me build this Linux channel into what it is now. I am so stoked to be able to do this for you guys. I absolutely love the work that I do, and if you believe in the work that I do, you can support this show on Patreon. It means the world to me that people do that. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. I want to know what you think. Do you think that Microsoft is a largely beneficial or net beneficial company to have on the Linux team? Let me know in the comments. I really can't wait to hear what you have to say. If you want to help support the show, you can pick up a t-shirt. There's going to be a link in the description. I want to say thank you to my patrons again. Their support makes this show possible. But no matter what you do, whether you hit that like button or share this video with your friends, don't forget to subscribe to see more from me, your favorite Kentuckian, Gardiner. Bye!